I'd like to start off by quoting a man many of you have probably never heard of, but I assure you, he exists. Songwriter Dave Mustaine wrote, "Moving on is a simple thing. What it leaves behind is hard." For the last 4 years of our lives, we've sluggishly moved through the halls of Dwyer, sheepishly said hi to our crush, held our heads in shame as we were left hanging on a high five by one of our so-called friends. But then the bell would ring. We would gather our books, slam our locker shut, and frantically make a dash for our homeroom, all the while silently chanting along. We would eventually arrive, some of us a little later than others, and we would take our seats. And following some amusing banter from Mr. Schneider and Mr. O'Hare over the announcements, the lesson would begin. But it wasn't just a single lesson. It was part of something much bigger. Mr. D'Amico, Miss Brady, Mr. O'Hare, the staff of Monsignor Paul Dwyer Catholic High School, honored guests, families, and my fellow graduates. I would like to formally invite you to, metaphorically, rise and join me as I take a stroll down memory lane so that we can reflect on the last few years and realize just how phenomenal our shared experience at Dwyer was. There's that word, was. It's going to be a real adjustment having to refer to our high school days as a thing of the past. It's hard to believe that we walked through the doors at the front of Dwyer for the first time 4 years ago. Nervous, excited, just different people really. Some of us model students at the time, far from the laid-back adults in the blue gowns we see before us today. Some of us a foot and a half shorter than we stand now.
Stack Sam.
We didn't undergo any magical overnight transformation, and we didn't snap our fingers and change who we were. We went on a journey together. Here's a story from our earlier days as PD Saints. We were all gathered in the cafeteria, mere juniors in the hallway hierarchy, and Mr. O'Hare was front and center, mic in hand, about to educate, and of course, entertain. And on this particular day, he did, because once he was finished with his outpour of wisdom, he loudly proclaimed, "So let's get out there and have another great year here at Notre Dame." And we all went, "Yeah, woo!" Wait, what? Notre Dame. Does this guy even go here? Sorry, Mr. O'Hare, I had to tell that one. Fast forward a few years, we're all back in that same cafeteria. There are some new faces, the rest familiar, each and every one of us sitting in a navy blue chair, as uncomfortable and navy blue as our uniforms. And Mr. O'Hare's there yet again, except this time, he was talking about upcoming events, things that seemed a million miles away. Completion of community service hours, prom, graduation, post-secondary, careers, colleges, university, all these things that are for the older kids. Then it hit me. We are the older kids. Heck, as far as being kids go, we're about as old as it gets. This moment was particularly terrifying for me. So I don't know about you guys, but the thought of choosing a career path sent shivers down my spine. I mean, I don't even like having to pick a restaurant when my family goes out to dinner. How was I supposed to choose university? But we all managed. We met these events with excitement, curiosity, the deadlines for applications, prom, and of course today, graduation. Here we are. And through the nostalgic recollections of the last 4 years and the overwhelming sadness that nips at our heels on a day like today, one question stands out in our minds. What does the future hold? Well, in my mind, it goes a little something like this. I turn on my 300-inch television, and I blast my surround sound system to hear that Gabriel Dwyer has just won his 9th Olympic medal. I flip the channel, and boom, Brandon Ducros scores the lone goal as Toronto FC loses 5-1. Sorry, Brandon, even with your skill, I can't see them winning a game. And of course, Paul Bone is going wild in the commentary booth as he calls the action. Speaking of action, elsewhere, Tom Armstrong and Joel Calderola are arguing over a camera angle to use in their next blockbuster. Alex Cairns is singing her heart out on Broadway. John Georgie is working on his next extraordinary discovery in the biotechnical field. And Sam Elliott is, well, still driving his 1998 GMC Suburban. That thing will never die. Van ownership aside, you may have noticed all the various talents that can be found amongst this graduating class. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Dwyer just happens to be a breeding ground for spectacular talent. Just look to our sports teams, who have provided us with many opportunities to witness various championship wins in recent years, whether it be our runners, our hockey players, our lacrosse bros. We just seem to put incredible athletic talent on display year after year. Members of our graduating class have been part of an OFSA-winning girls hockey team, 2 OFSA-winning lacrosse teams, a championship-winning football team, and a LASA-winning soccer team. Yeah. But of course, Dwyer is more than just sports. Every year, Dwyer's art department shines with showings of visual art, annual Christmas and spring concerts, and of course, the annual school musical. Now, this year, I had the distinct pleasure of ushering the musical several times because I was short on community service hours and I wanted to graduate. Anywho, under the direction of Mr. Schneider, Mrs. Schneider, Mr. Longhour, and Miss Kataya, the cast and crew of Footloose put on a hilarious and spellbinding show night after night. And of course, there are those special events that make Dwyer what it is, namely our annual buyout. The school year would only just begin, and already school spirit would be all around us as the music blares and the Saints take the field. We would all dress in our finest blue and gold attire to enjoy a day free of classes and sit back to watch a perfectly good game of football. Mr. Wilson would yell at anyone who would listen to keep everything organized. The best day of the year would be underway. A truly significant Dwyer tradition would then take place. The bird's eye view picture, taken from atop the high-rise building across the street from the school. One year, we had the student body gather to spell out PD. The next year, we attempted to make a football helmet. And then this year, we were part of something huge. 5-0, the big one. 50. 50 years of Dwyer pride took shape on our field that day, and it still carries strong in each one of us. I, for one, hope that Dwyer students will be able to carry on this tradition for years to come, so that we may be able to celebrate our school, and of course, Catholic education in general. And what would this education be without the wonderful and at times quirky faculty? Now, when we go to draw from our memory well and think about our high school days, surely some of the first things that come to mind involved one of the staff members. Why? Well, let's face it, some of them are just too interesting to forget. Take, for instance, Mr. Davidson, who can keep you laughing through a chemistry class and then crying when he hands out one of his tests. Or Mr. Rogers, who, though I only had for a few weeks in grade 9 tech, still remembers my name and keeps me and many others laughing in the hallways. Or Mr. Ellsworth. Mr. Ellsworth, who dishes the lighthearted insults as well as he takes them. And for that reason, he has earned my undying respect. Unfortunately, respect is not an acceptable form of currency, so you can't buy any clothes at Abercrombie with it. In all seriousness, though, at all ends of the school, you can find a fine educator going above and beyond to make our experience at Dwyer genuinely special. In the music rooms, Mr. Hornachuk and Miss Flynn are patiently teaching the next generation of great musicians. Down the hall, Mrs. Yonkis is screaming at someone about something. But then she approaches them and tells them what she believes they can achieve and encourages them to go for it. And I feel I should mention this particular teacher, as I had him 3 times over the course of my Dwyer career. Whether it be a history course or the dreaded civics course, Mr. Trainer never failed to keep things interesting.
I love you!
Now, can I tell you this? He would make Jeopardy-style quiz games to review for our tests, tell us amusing anecdotes, and of course, send us in the hall if we didn't do our homework. All we had to do was put up with his puns. His terrible, terrible puns. Now, for myself and many others, this is a must-mention as we're on the topic of teachers. This past year, we lost a great one. The loss of Mr. Lewis Blizzard sent a tremor through the Dwyer community last August. I remember waking up to the news and thinking just how surreal and upsetting it was. I then sat down at my computer and one by one, I read each and every Facebook post and tweet dedicated to the memory of Mr. Blizzard. And I realized just how tightly knit our Dwyer community is. Those who I know who graduated years ago weighed in and shared their favorite story about a caring and inspiring math teacher. The strength of our community was really affirmed for me a couple days later when I went to the visitation. Classmates and teachers I hadn't seen in months, and alumni I hadn't seen in years, all gathered and packed the vicinity to honor the memory of Mr. Blizzard. It is this ability to band together and face adversity that allows us to survive as a school community, one that we should all be immensely proud to be a part of. Now at this moment, we stand with our backs to the past, on the shore of a wide and challenging future. Gone are the days when we would slay foul beasts in Mr. Francis's math class. Only in the past can we find the panic we felt on Miss Gora's test days. No longer will we flock to the portables or scurry back from coffee time in the morning. Sadly, there's no more wandering aimlessly on our spares, no more laps around the Dwyer track, and no more leaving class for 15 minutes to get a drink of water. Today is the day that forever marks the end of these routines. We are all, however, about to experience the routines, as well as the full and complete freedom that comes with being an adult in the real world. You know, mortgages, taxes, loans, all that fun stuff. So as we dwell on the prospect of being all grown up, I ask all of you not to look back on our unforgettable memories with feelings of loss and sadness, but rather with fondness. Or as Dr. Seuss put it, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. We rush to beat the bells. We scarfed down our lunches while standing just outside our next class, and we childishly stole our friends' locks and hid them somewhere, just because. It's what we were meant to do while roaming the high school halls. We met new people. We laughed along when our teachers said something unintentionally funny. We made our plans for the weekend, and we rushed to finish our homework and assignments on the day they were due. And I think it's safe to say we had a blast and a half while doing these things. I know I did, and I'll probably miss them more than anything else the next little while. But I promise you, something new and exciting is on the way for each and every one of us, so long as we're willing to accept the challenges that face us. While we may miss our days at Dwyer, we will have a new journey to complete, a new path to walk, and a new code to follow. The people that will walk these paths and follow these codes are the folks that join me down here today. For the most part, they are not the same people who paced the halls of Paul Dwyer 4 years ago. Nay, these people have discovered new passions within themselves. They have decided what is right and wrong in their eyes. They've tried to figure out just what it is they want out of life, and they're preparing to pursue it. They are, quote, a brain, and an athlete, and a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. I'm sorry, I just had to. What kind of high school send-out speech would this be without a quote from the Breakfast Club? But back to my point, they are talented, they are ready to succeed, and most importantly, they are, and always will be, saints. So class of 2013, I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors. I would like to thank you for selecting me to be your valedictorian. It truly means the world to me, guys. And I would like to thank our families and the Dwyer staff for helping us make it here today. I struggled with how I'd end this, so I figured maybe I'll just close with a quote. And then I thought, really, Justin? You're gonna be that lazy and uninspired and just end your speech with a quote? In the movie Van Wilder, Ryan Reynolds said, "Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it never really gets you anywhere. So go forth, live your lives free of worry and stress. Be polite, work hard, and above all else, have fun." Class of 2013, we have graduated. Thank you.